Blog Talk Radio.
Yo, can you be quiet?
Two tramp and paralyze Babylon. Just so you to antagonize Babylon. Two tramp and paralyze Babylon. Rise back in and it's uprising. Okay, who is not turn back? The one of them spray that gunshot. Put up for them, run for them. The one of them way that come shot. Who is not turn back? Police spray that gunshot. Alright, they get to use their turn. God killer, that them the thriller. Shoot to them master, it's a map for them pillar. Some rock sticks on them, you can lock down the scheme of the pillar. People that come see ya. Bull up the bank and we burn out dirty nigga. Gun Babylon, them is a nasty dirty trigger. Instead of say I die, man, the mighty life giver. Every morning, so don't you be down a river. I have been the jump prophecy full failure. Babylon they try, that's a far I have you to bust them pistol barrel a spin like windmiller. Magazine, me wanna know that I reveal ya. I saw me tell you, bully not done back, police afraid of gunshot. We talk for them, run for them, the one of them way I come chat. Bully not done back, the one of them afraid of gunshot. Alright, gotta be a bit. This ramp and paralyze Babylon. Get you to antagonize Babylon. This ramp and paralyze. You see Babylon, them up the dead part.
Yo, what's going on? Today's Saturday. This is In Black America. This is your man Rasta B. I don't think my co-host is going to be here today. My co-host is Smoke. But we should still have a productive show today. Today's show we're going to be dwelling on the uncivil war in the black community between black men, black woman, and black child. It seems like we're all at war with each other. Black men killing black men and at odds with their women. The stereotypes of black men not taking care of their children, black women being catty towards black women on the television shows. It's even promoted. Black women half-ass taking care of their children. You have some mothers that would kick their kids out because they don't want to do anything with their child, and that's a problem. It causes a lot of crime to happen in the neighborhoods. A lot of times when you see criminal activity goes on in our community, we're quick to blame it on the youth and bring up the fact that these are children committing the crime, but we never dwell or ponder upon the realization that these are not aliens, these are not zombies, these are children, meaning these are somebody's child, meaning there's a mother out there who knows that her son is committing robberies. You know what I'm saying? This is not a situation where it's like we don't know what's going on or we don't know who's doing what. So that's pretty much the subject and the topic. I want to dwell on that because this show is solution-based. So we're going to address and bring up the ills that's going on in our community, but we're also going to address solutions, how to fix it, because we need to stop. It's very contradictory to hear black people say we want unity, we want togetherness, we want to come together as a people. But then when it comes to the youth, everyone acts like they're not sure how to handle that conundrum, to say the least. So that's the reason why I thought it was, and it is, a very important subject to deal with the uncivil war. Because there's nothing civil. There's nothing civil about the violence that's in our community. Now, I'm not one of the people that believe in the ideology of blaming the victim or playing the victim. Just wrap around your mind mentally, you as a black man living in a world or in a country, to say, no matter what country, whether you're in the islands, whether you're in America, and you're living in a situation where people that don't look like you are going to kill you, and people that look like you are going to kill you. And the woman you lay down with, she have it out for you too. And the children, they don't like you either. So you can understand how that causes distrust in the black community, how a black woman who, if she confides in another black woman, one of her biggest fears is this black woman might try to steal my man. So a lot of black women don't F with black women. Then they have a child, and they have the weird ideology that they can't raise a child because of the child's gender. And then the child of the same gender, a little girl, they don't even want a little girl, let alone want her to be the firstborn. So there's a lot of narratives. That's a word I like to use, narratives. And I use that word because I believe that that's something also that plagues the black community, is the narratives that we share. We share narratives that never been challenged, never been questioned, just accepted in our community, and we'll just rock with it. So then it becomes normal to hear black people narratives, like one narrative, black people don't support black people. I don't get it. That's a weird narrative to me, because I grew up in an environment where my mother had to sell food and Rasta hats, beads, belts, and things of that nature, and all of her customers was black. So I say all of that to say this: let's cut the narratives out, and let's dwell and deal on some real stuff. Let's dwell and build off of what works in Black America and move forward from there. We don't always have to harp on what's not working. And I feel like a lot of times that's what we do. Just like the previous show, to me that's victimhood. And so long as we stay on the mentality that we can't and we won't, or better yet, I should say that we can't, then we won't. You know, it's funny, and I bring this up because I've always lived around black people, always. I always lived around black people, black poor people, to the point that as a child, I would examine cities' ghettos to determine whether or not I would want to live there. I never even thought about living in a middle-class black neighborhood because I didn't know one existed. and all I've known was poverty, pretty much. So wherever my mother would say we're moving to, I would look in that location to see what's the poverty level out there, how the blacks are in that area, because 9 out of 10, that's where I'll be living. So the reason of me bringing that up is basically like we've always been around each other. We know what we want, and we all say that we want the same thing. But we have to stop talking, and we have to start doing. And that's why a lot of times I like to bring up and mention our accomplishments. That's why I don't like to dwell off of the victimhood or the victimization of us and who we are, because what happens is a lot of times we end up getting caught up into what we can't, to the point that we end up not doing anything. And that's what we have to stop. We got to stop that. We cannot keep doing that. We cannot sit here and think we're going to move forward and win. And you know, just to keep it real, when we don't believe it ourselves. If you don't believe that your child is intelligent, you can't expect your child to believe that. You know? Because everything going to come out your mouth is going to negate whatever that child is doing. So if that child says, "Hey, Mom, I want to do beats, so I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I want to be an engineer. I want to code, learn how to code, Mom." I was listening to In Black America the other day, and they said you can learn how to code at 7. So I want to know, I want to learn how to code. The mother and the father, well, I don't know what coding is. Instead of Googling it, doing research on it, they may give up because they don't see it in their child. They're like, well, shit, we live in the hood. We live in the slum. The hell you talking about coding? I don't know what that is. And you shouldn't know what that is either. What you need to do is take your ass in the room and do your homework. But you don't even realize that's the avenue not only would benefit your child, they're not 1 out of a million going into that field. This is a field where black people have interest in. Silicon Valley and the techs in Google and Facebook and things of this nature claims that they need and want to hire blacks, but don't. Meaning, your child getting into the field of coding, computer engineering, things that Howard University specializes in, that will have your child in a field that's where they're highly needed. But instead of us doing that and taking that time out to do that, we'd rather push our children into fields that's not highly needed, like sports and entertainment. And then we're going to go and we're going to tap dance and we're going to play these games for white people, and we're going to make them a whole lot of money, and then we're going to get a cut of that money, and then we're going to say, look, Mom, I'm rich. But what do that do for the black people? What do that do for your child? What do that do for your child's child when the only thing you instilled into your child is to pick up a ball and run it from one side of the field to the next side of the field and make a white man rich? I'm just curious. I'm just asking questions. Because we have to get to the point where enough has to be enough. We have to get to the point where we realize us attacking us is way more detrimental to our reality than them dealing with, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're attacking us, and we have to always stay on them about that. But when it's non-blacks killing black people and black people killing black people, that's a problem. That's a problem. And that's a problem that we definitely need to address. But before we get into those issues, let's get into news that we need to know about. And one story that I would like to share, and this would help for mothers out there who want to give their daughters a doll that reflects them. Up to 9,000 Queens of Africa dolls are sold in Nigeria every month. There's a new Barbie in town. She's a queen, she's black, she wears traditional African costumes, and she is not actually a Barbie. Created by a Nigerian man, Teoflik Ukoya, 7 years ago after he couldn't find a black doll for his niece. The Queens of Africa have since beaten Barbie to become one of the best-selling toys in Africa's most populous country. The 43-year-old Okoye sells between 6,000 and 9,000 Queens of Africa and Niger princesses a month in Nigeria, and claims to have up to 15% of the country's toy market. The dolls, which sells for equivalent of 450, it looks like English pounds, resemble Barbie dolls in so much as they are thin. Earlier big body editions weren't as popular, but their African outfits and dark skin stands them apart. It is very nicely packaged, and the dolls definitely look good. Only criticism I would have of the dolls is probably the facial features, but other than that, they're very nicely put together and packaged nicely. I would say that. Yes, these dolls are made in in Nigeria, and they said the American manufacturer Mattel, which does sell black Barbies, is not a large presence in the region, and told Reuters it has no plans for expansion. Mattel yesterday announced global Barbie sales fell by 12% last quarter. So, and then they said the toy sales in emerging markets such as Nigeria are growing at a rate of 13%. A poll as opposed to just 1% in the developed world, suggesting that Okoya's queen's princess and their to-be successors may have a successful stint on the shelf. And it's not that they have a successful stint. They're catering to an untapped market. See, this is the whole thing that black people have to realize, is that when you are a black person, it doesn't matter what part of the world you live in, it doesn't matter how much you make or any of the other factors. The fact of the matter is, white people are the minority. The minority of the world. So when they make their Barbies, they're selling dolls to a minority of the population. And they're trying to convince black people that we should buy their products. And in doing this, we end up increasing their money, because you have the small population of white people who buys these dolls, and then you have the Africans who end up buying it also. But once we stop supporting white people, then what happened is, and we support our own, then we're going to see that we hold all the bread. We hold all of the selling and the buying power. That's what this Nigerian brother realized. That's what black Americans don't realize, because unfortunately our how should I say this? Our reality is just America. So when your reality is just America, what happens is you tend to only build within America's parameters, because you can't think outside of where you at. It's the same concept of telling a young inner city kid, you have to travel, so your viewpoint of life is not just the 4 square blocks that you've been on. We have to take the same concept here in America and travel outside of America, so our viewpoint is more than just America and America's narratives of who we are. The only way to break those narratives is to know that they're narratives. And one way to know that they're narratives is to travel. Because when you see other black people doing things and making strides and things of this nature, it's hard for you to stay with that weird ideology that we cannot achieve anything. So that's a narrative we have to break, and that's something that you will continuously hear on In Black America, because we're always going to promote destroying narratives and stereotypes, especially within the race, because a lot of times we like to look on the outside and talk about what white people doing. But a lot of these narratives we hold on to ourselves. A lot of this white supremacy stuff, there's a black man and a black woman driving that car. Straight up. It's a black man and a black woman driving that car. Because this is the secret between black men and black women. The most desirable man on the face of this planet is the black man. A dark-skinned black man is the most desirable man on the planet. The most desirable woman on the planet is the black woman. The dark-skinned black woman. And how do I know that's true? How do I know that's true? Because those are the two people at war with one another. You have to remember, this war that we're dealing with is not just a physical war. It's a physical war. It's a mental war. It's a psychological war. And that's where we fell at, because once the chains was removed from us, we didn't know who we was. So we just wanted to live and operate. And when we lived and operated, we still did business with the white devil. And you know what that white devil did? He never forgot. So when his economy went down in the 1900s, he looked at our economy and said, wait a minute, we cannot compete. That's the biggest fear. If you want to talk about fear that this white man have, the fear that this white man have is competing with us. And this white man knows that once he has to compete with us, he's going to fail and he's going to lose. So what he does is he say, oh no, we're not competing with you because you're not qualified to compete with us. So then we go back to the drawing board and we scratch our head and we say, wait a minute, we gotta work twice as hard to compete against this white man. No, we don't. We ain't got to compete at all. The ball's in our court. The prize is in our hand. We are the Dandadas. We are the top echelon of it all. The black man, the black woman. Together we make the black children, the next generation. That white man know that. That white man know that. And the government people turned around and they committed psychological warfare on us. So once we know that and we understand that, then we have to say to ourselves, well, what do we do next? You understand? We don't get stuck in the victimhood mentality of what this white man is doing to us. No, we understand what he's doing to us, and then we move accordingly. We move accordingly. We don't sit there and allow that what he's doing to us to stop us. That's not how it works. We have to do this. Let me tell you something. We all already know that the FBI and the CIA monitors us, checks us out, and been doing this forever. We know J. Edgar Hoover was trying to stop the Black Messiah. Why we stopped fighting? Did they tell us that they stopped fighting us? Nah. So watch this. This is an article. It's called Black Feminism, the CIA, and Gloria Steinem. Now, for those that heard of the word, I'm pretty sure you heard of Gloria Steinem. There's no way in hell you never heard about this individual named Gloria Steinem. You had to have heard about Gloria Steinem because that's Hillary Clinton's ace bone coon. That's Hillary Clinton's. That's her OG. That's her big homie. That's who she look up to. All of y'all black women that want to scream Hillary Clinton because you think she's fighting your cause, she's not fighting your cause. But this is her homegirl, Gloria Steinem. So let's find out who she is. Because this woman is the mother of feminism. Well, let's see who, if this is the mother, let's see who her daddy is. What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operation against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful and virulent strand of black feminism that attacks black men while partnering with the white establishment. So that was a little chip-choppy because one of these words I didn't really, I never saw before. What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operations against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful strand of black feminism that attacks black men while partnering with the white establishment. Gloria Steinem first came across the radar of black men in 1978 when Steinem put a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman on the cover of Miss Magazine, the magazine which she controlled. So this is her magazine. This is a white woman's magazine, and she writes a book called Black Macho, not white macho, because that's her race. Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman. The myth? It seemed like this whole book was just an attack on us. The book was written by a black feminist and activist named Michelle Wallace, who came out of nowhere. So now we got to wonder to ourselves, okay, wait a minute. So Gloria Steinem have a magazine called Miss Magazine. She comes out with she puts a book on the cover called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman. Black Macho. Again, this has nothing to do with white men. That's her race, right? This is on her book. So the question is, why did this woman write this? She didn't write it. A black woman wrote this. Okay. I dig it. So a black feminist and activist. She's an activist of what? And she's a feminist for what? Because, see, the black man and the black woman and the black child, we was going through the same hell in this country, you know what I'm saying, since forever. We didn't, you know what I'm saying, one wasn't above the other. We both was catching hell in America. So how do the black woman automatically have separate struggle than we do? So me, when I'm reading this story now, and then you have this woman, they say in the black feminist, her name is Michelle Wallace, who came out of nowhere. I said, okay, it goes, Wallace was in her early 20s at the time, yet she was being touted as the leader of the black feminism. In the book, Wallace called abolitionists like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth our strong black woman, our mothers, our black women that we reverence. She called Mother Harriet Tubman and Sister Sojourner Truth ugly and stupid for supporting black men. Wait a minute. This is a 20-year-old, well, in her early 20s, so that means she's below 25. And she comes out with a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman. The book is then posted on this CIA agent, white woman named Gloria Steinem magazine. Then she attacks and disrespects our foremothers, Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, calling them ugly and stupid for supporting who? Black men. She called black revolutionaries chauvinist macho pigs and advised black women to go it alone. Go what alone? We're going through the same issue. So what are we going at alone? Gloria Steinem said that Wallace's books would define the future of black relationships, and she pushed hard to make sure the book receives mass publicity. Do you understand? Gloria Steinem's work triggered a flood of hate black men books and films that continues to this day. Needless to say, somewhere quite suspicious of Miss Magazine and Gloria Steinem. Oh, some were quite suspicious of Miss Magazine and Gloria Steinem. Why was Steinem sticking her nose into the affairs of the black community? So people started doing some research on Steinem. When it came out that Gloria Steinem was probably the ghostwriter of the book with Michelle Wallace's name on it, Wallace had a nervous breakdown. When it came out that Gloria Steinem was probably the ghostwriter of the book, which Michelle Wallace's name was on, Wallace had a nervous breakdown and went into hiding for 2 years. However, the damage was already done, and the hate black men movement was off and running. But the research into Gloria Steinem's background continued, which follows in the finding of many different researchers. So this agent convinced this young black girl to be the face, to be the ski mask on her white face as she attacked the black community. Now, a little into the affairs of Michelle Wallace. Michelle Wallace was born January 4th, 1952 in Harlem. Let me repeat that again, in Harlem. This is the same Harlem I told you is being attacked through gentrification on the surface and homosexuality behind the scenes. Pause. Because there's gay groups that's buying and controlling businesses there and buildings there that have something to do with black people and black culture. She and her young sister, Barbara, grew up in a black middle-class family. Now, you got to understand what the black middle class. The black middle class wanted to separate itself from the poor. That's why the black middle class got caught up in a lot of these white people affairs, because they wanted to prove something to the whites and disassociate themselves with the blacks. So a lot of our issues that happen in our community happen through the black middle class. So, okay. So they says her mother was a teacher. The father was her father was a classical jazz pianist, which made sense living in Harlem during that time. Her parents separated after 4 years of marriage. Michelle and Barbara Wallace were raised by their mother and stepfather, that's a sister, in Harlem, exclusive Sugar Hill. If anybody's seen the movie Sugar Hill with Romello and I don't remember the other name, with Wesley Snipes and the other brother that played in the Five Heartbeats. You know, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a great movie, Sugar Hill. So they lived in the Sugar Hill area. Okay, growing up, Wallace went to private school and spent summers at camp or in Europe. Repeat. Growing up, Wallace went to private school, a.k.a. white people school, and spent summers not in Harlem. She goes to private school, being indoctrinated there. Then she spends summers at a indoctrination camp, or ends up in Europe with more indoctrination, right? So this is her early life. She pretty much graduated and all that. She spent the semester in Howard before returning to Harlem, yada, 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 and do all of that. Now, when it comes to her career, it goes from 1974 to 1975. Wallace worked at Newsweek as a book review researcher. During this period, Wallace contributed to Miss Magazine from time to time. In 1974, she met Ross Wetsteon or something, and it's Wetzsteon is the last name, and Karen Durbin of the Village Voice. Any New Yorkers out there already know what the Village Voice is. The Village Voice is a Bati Boy magazine. You know what I'm saying? So, and then we see that the Miss Magazine is a feminist, I hate black man CIA operative type situation also. So publications of the Village Voice, and began writing for the publication on black feminism. Her upbringing in Harlem in the 1950s and 60s, and her position in the black middle class educated elite, what we will call now the boule. Wallace articles, in the Voice, brought her prominence as a black feminist in New York. But we already understand she was already indoctrinated into this. This wasn't something that she was born into. This is because parents kept her around white people and kept her within white environments where she is learning the hatred of her own people through the eyes of white people. See, we think when we put our children in these white schools, it's because of a better education, when what's really happening is it's a better miseducation that's going on, because these kids end up learning and adapting the hatred that they have for themselves through their friends. You might have a white people tell you, you're nice. You're not like the other niggas. And that's supposed to be a compliment. I remember when I might have been 16 and went to Virginia for the first time to see my aunt, and she was in the Navy. So I think we were in Norfolk, Virginia. And I remember going to Burger King, I believe it was, and there was a fat white girl behind the counter. And when I get up there and I'm looking at the menu to see what I want to order, she tells me that she likes light-skinned boys with light-colored eyes. No. Excuse me. She said, that's too nice. She actually said, I like colored boys with light-colored eyes. That's the exact quote. So I said, I'm coming from New York, and if I'm 16, this have to be 9. No, I might have been So this might have been 96, or maybe it's 97 and I'm 16. So let's say 97. And she said, I like colored boys with light-colored eyes. And I said, wow. I turned around, looked at my aunt. My aunt, she looking at me like, yo, what the hell? So then she looks at the guy she was with, and the guy she was with is laughing. He's a black dude. And he says, oh, that's nothing. That's just the way they talk out here. Huh? Threw me off. I never forget that. So imagine having your child for 4, 8, 16 years in their institution, in their schools, dealing with that, listening to the color jokes, listening to the comments about their features, picking which black person will be acceptable and which black person won't be acceptable. And then what's the pressures that we as black people feel when one that gets accepted, do he turn his acceptance down? The one that doesn't get accepted, do he still trust that black dude or that black girl? So it's a psychological game. And that's what you have to understand. This is war that we're in the middle of. This is war that we're in. So when everything that they do and everything how they interact with us is strategy. And that's the same way you have to look at it like that. When you sit there telling you, oh, I don't teach race, I don't look at color and things of that nature, that's you. That's not them. If you're next to the computer, and if you do not believe me, let's put aside white people, because there's nothing I can say about white people, especially in America, especially the black Americans, that black people already do not know. So let's go to our brown brothers and sisters, right? Because these are our brothers, right? I want you to Google La Raza, L-A space R-A-Z-A. Google that. Look that up. Read that, and you tell me where in their doctrine it shows that they give a fuck about you, black man, that they give a fuck about you, black woman. No other group in America is saying we have to look out for our black brothers and sisters. It's only our black brothers and sisters that's saying we have to look out for everybody else. You got black men killing black men. You got black women hating on black women. You got black men and black women going to war with each other. You have the youth. The youth. These black kids is killing each other and going in and out of jail like it's nothing, and they don't understand that this jail prison system, this penal system, this system ain't nothing but a sex plantation. That's all that is. It's a sex plantation. And they ushering y'all little young boys, 15, 14, and putting y'all in adult prison with grown-ass men, 35 years old. These dudes 35 in jail, yo, and already did 25. Do the math. Do the math. I got uncles that have been in and out of jail since they was crazy, stupid young. Through the juvies, through the then adults. Them boys is inside there getting raped and molested. And guess what? It's all spilling out to the streets. So now our innocent babies that you tell them to protect themselves from the streets, who gonna protect them from their uncle? Who gonna protect them from their cousins, from their brother? So we got to open our eyes, man, and we got to realize, man, that it is a war that we're in the middle of. Now, just to continue with this, I'm going to use the term loosely, this sister, okay? Now, I already mentioned that she's part of the black middle-class educated elite, so she's pretty much boule, okay? She writes the articles, prominent. She's a prominent black feminist now in New York, right? She co-founded the National Black Feminist Organization, okay? Now, they said with Faith Ringgold, but yeah, I don't know if that's her sister or what, but yeah. Faith Ringgold, that's her people's them, and Margaret Sloan Hunter, and other prominent black feminist activists. So this is what she's doing, right? So this is where they're pushing her towards, this brainwashing. Then she goes, Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman, published in 1979, criticizes sexism in the black community and black nationalists in the 1960s. Now let's really dwell on that one. You mean to tell me that in the 60s, when black man, woman, and child is fighting this racist system, we fighting for equality, these devils turn around and turn our sister to attack us. Now, that's the reason why I stand on the black woman as God. And that's the reason why I stand on we have to raise this black woman up. Because when we don't raise this black woman up, they use her to destroy us. It ain't the other way around. So Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman, published in 1979, criticizes sexism in the black community. Not criticize sexism. It criticized sexism in the black community and black nationalists in the 1960s. The book grapples with twin stereotypes of the black man and woman. Black Macho, the hyper-masculine and hyper-sexualized black man, and Superwoman, the inordinately strong black woman unfazed by white racism. The book criticized black men and the civil rights movement. The book criticizes black men and the civil rights movement for its injurious acceptance of white society's notion of manhood. This, according to Wallace, has resulted in a divide between black men and black women. Peep the hustle, peep the game. I am totally in agreement with this psycho black woman, right? She is saying that she's criticizing black men in the civil rights movement because we accepted white society's notion of manhood. I totally agree with this psycho. But how are you criticizing black men for accepting white society's notion of manhood when you're presenting me white society's notion of womanhood? So you want me to replace my white society's notion of manhood with your white society's notion of womanhood? Let's be real. Let's be real. What are we talking about? So, according to Wallace, according to Wallace, has resulted in a divide between black women and men, combining personal with social, cultural, and historical analysis. Wallace also reflects on her subject's position as an educated middle-class black woman. So because she's educated and middle class, she has the answer. And a lot of black women fall for that. And it don't have to just be black. It can also be when they're looking at shit on TV, and they feel like, oh, it must be right because Oprah said it, or this scholar said it, or this doctor said it. Yeah, that's crazy. Now, some of the stuff that people found out about, because pretty much we don't have to keep dwelling on this Michelle woman anymore, because we understand that who she is. She's an agent. She's an agent. She is agent for white supremacy. That's all she was. You have to look at people like her and follow the vampire doctrine. The vampire comes and he bites you and then turn you into a vampire. And that's what's going on with this woman here. She was so caught up and isolated within this white society. When she came back into the black community, she wasn't who she was. She didn't see herself as a black woman or as a black person. She see herself as a feminist on the war path of attacking black men and black family. Because when a woman attacks a black man, you're attacking the black family as a whole. When the black man attacks the black woman, he attacking the black family as a whole. There's no such thing as one without the other. They said the facts surrounding Gloria Steinem, she's a CIA operative, right? This is Hillary Clinton's homie, okay? So all y'all black people and y'all, Hillary, and we want Hillary to win, and all y'all black women, oh, it's about time for women to be, y'all following black feminism. And black feminism was designed to destroy the black family. Gloria Steinem is a CIA agent, and everything she has ever done through her adult life has been under the directions of the CIA. They recruited her out of high school, the CIA. They said Gloria Steinem was from a poor and dysfunctional family and lived in a house without running water, but she was able to attend elite and expensive Smith College. So you have to understand, they grabbed them at a young age. Anytime you see somebody, when you see that white woman smiling up in your black face, that's an agent. When you see that white dude smiling up in your black face, that's an agent. Let me tell you something. I heard either Claude Anderson or Amos Wilson say that for every 5 black people, there have to be 1 white person there. I said, you know what? That's an interesting. And then one day I'm looking at the Claude Anderson's lecture, and y'all should try this. In the crowd is nothing but black people, right? In the crowd is nothing but black people, and you see scattered white people throughout the crowd. But you've never seen 2 white people sitting next to each other. You'll see a black people and a white man in there, black people and a white woman there, black people and a white woman there, black people and a black man there. I never saw a white man sitting next to a white woman. So all those white people drove by themselves in separate cars? You see what I'm saying? So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? You know? So, you know, when black women get into this, until this thing where they want to believe that they're being oppressed, the worry, being a black woman is so hard because I'm black and I'm a woman and these are the things. Listen, listen, all of that is a narrative that must be destroyed. All of that is a narrative. You saying that, all you're basically saying is you're ready to help with the destruction of black people and the goddamn black race. straight up. Because that's what that objective is for. That's why she don't want you to be the strong woman that you are. Look at Claudine. If I'm not mistaken, there's a scene in Claudine where Claudine's daughter says how she don't want to be strong no more. She all probably drunk and high. The mother looking at her like, yo, what the hell's wrong with you? I don't want to be strong no more. I don't want to do this. Yo, if you don't want to be strong, you know what that means? That means you want to be weak. That's all that means. I don't want to be strong no more. Means I want to be weak. I give up. That's what that means. You can't have it both ways. We have to be strong. We need to stand up. We got to stop playing games. If there's a big piece of wood or something on the ground and it's heavy, yo, it's going to hurt when you're trying to pick it up. You dig what I'm saying? But as you lifting it up, and it get higher and higher till you flip it over, the satisfaction is accomplishing what you thought was too hard for you to do. So this is the black woman now attacking the black man through black feminism. That shit has to go. You cannot stand on that, black woman. You are not being oppressed. Stop believing that. You're not being oppressed. The black man don't have his foot on your neck. You actually have way more rights, way more opportunities than a black man has. You're not being oppressed. Now, to get into the thing when it comes to black men fighting the black woman, I would like to bring up, especially for Black History Month, I would like to bring up C. Dolores Tucker. Because she was a motherfucker. Instead of trying to help a brother, she tried to destroy one, right? Nah, we got to get that sister, we have to give her an apology. We have to give C. Dolores Tucker an apology. Because we didn't understand what she was saying, and now we're in the reality that she spoke about. What you have to understand is the decision that you make affects your future, and it affects where you go. Meaning, if I walk out my house and I turn right to go down the street and there's a shootout and I get hit, I'm dead. That's my reality. If I go left down the street and I turn left to go to that store, then I come back home. That's another reality. So there's a reality that's being lived out now, where we listened to C. Dolores Tucker. But we don't know what that reality is because we're living in a reality when we didn't listen to her. So we already told you about the black feminism that was going on and being brought up. And I remember a lot of this in TV. And that's probably where a lot of this stuff got mixed up at, because black women standing up as a black woman mixed up with feminism, thinking that's some feminism shit. So in the mid-1990s, C. Dolores Tucker was lambasted and harassed for her voice against gangster rap music. Beneficiaries and fans of the insidious music genre attacked her in song and called her narrow-minded, an old thinker, as she stood alone in her campaign against lyrics that degraded black community and its people. So gangster rap, we already understand, that's something created by the media. That's not something we call our music, okay? So it goes, at the height of her campaign against gangster rap, C. Dolores Tucker was in her 60s, 60. She was an unapologetic, fearless elder of our community with a lifetime of experience in her view. That lets you see in this scenario right here, and we didn't realize this because we was living. I remember this era. At 19, what they said, in the mid-1990s, Tupac alive. I was living in Georgia. I went back to New York Friday the 13th, 1996, of September, when Tupac was murdered. Well, no, excuse me, when he died. Because he was murdered, shot up earlier than that, but it was on the 13th when the radio came in and said he died. Now, I was too young to really understand it. We were just really into the whole bitches ain't shit, but hoes and tricks. You know what I'm saying? So we was like that first generation to really grow up with the understanding that black women ain't nothing but bitches and hoes. You know what I'm saying? And black men was nothing but niggas. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't trust each other. That's what I grew up under, right? This is a woman, she in her 60s. She's an elder. See, it sounds funny now because a lot of our black people nowadays, we try to honor our elders and we try to revere them and we try to show some type of respect. See, back then is when we was getting turned out. Now we're trying to get turned back in to our mind, our right mind, so we can move right and exact again. But back then, we ain't know no better, and that's why we have to revisit our past as we move forward, and that's the reason why we have to accept mistakes and say, you know what, I thought integration would work, but it don't. So we need to figure out how to backtrack from that. No, we want to keep going. Fuck it, we here. We're gonna keep pushing. No, we got to correct our mistakes. So this elder, that we did not honor our elders. So this elder, who stood unapologetically, she stood tall, literally and figuratively, and dared to say what no one else would, when it was unpopular and uncomfortable to do so. The reason why it was unpopular and uncomfortable is because that was the first time we was getting paid off our ignorance. We was getting paid off our ignorance. Let's keep it a buck. We was getting paid to say the most disparaging, most disrespectful stuff that can come to mind. See, Dolores Tucker knew something grotesque and ominous was forming right before us. She knew that nothing good and everything bad would happen as a result of the constant messages of degradation delivered through gangster rap. C. Dolores Tucker revisit her battle for the black community against those who were not friends and who effectively contributed to the conditions we are in today. Miss Tucker died in October 2005 at the age of 78. So, C. Dolores Tucker explained in the Chicago Tribune that these images of black young kids acting like gangsters go all around the world. She objected to such lyrics being sold to minors and asked the Federal Bureau of Investigation to launch an inquiry. Both the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus lent support to Tucker's cause. Congressional hearings were held on the subject in 1994, and soon afterward, Tucker set her sights on an even larger target, the Time Warner media empire. She did not attack black men. She did not attack black people. She attacked the white establishment. Now, here's the funny thing about that. We already know that there's a letter now being circulated on the internet talking about how there was a secret meeting going on. And in this secret meeting, there was people talking about pushing us towards this gangster rap. So once the privatized prisons come in, y'all can invest in it, make money off of the incarceration of the black youth who's going to get turned out through all this gangster rap music. Do you understand? This black woman stood up and said, nah, yo, this is not right. We got to get the feds involved to figure out what's going on. But the sisters didn't know the feds and the CIA and the police and the government, they all work hand in hand. They all work hand in hand. Right now, Future is on record saying that all of that drug talk, lean, syrup, pop pills, and all that stuff he talked on his records to tell you to do, he don't even do that. There's no way he could function if he did that. There's no way he could drop that much music if he did that. But he's not telling you that. He's not telling you that. So now, what I'm going to do is we're going to take a short break. We're going to go back into C. Dolores Tucker, and we're going to get into we're going to get into the black child next. All right. So this is In Black America. The topic is black man, black versus black woman versus black child. How do we end this uncivil war? Guest calling number is 646-716-4654.
Money, power, respect. If you ain't about that, then what the fuck you about? Huh? What the fuck you about? Fuck boy, bow down to this bag of money. About that, then what the fuck you about? Huh? What the fuck you about? Fuck boy, bow down to this bag of money.
Pussy niggas want me, come and get. I'm thinking paper soon as I wake up. I put that shit on everything I love. Yeah, I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power.
Count up the money, count it again. You taught me, my nigga, you know it's a chance you can die with your friend. Don't play with my paper. Ask Tony and Montana. That be the reason them killers will come to your crib with the hammers. They hate that I'm ballin'. They hate that I'm winning. I need all you haters to see me the reason the foreign ain't and I'm bout it. Look what you started. I am the illest in case you forgot it. I may consider just send a deposit. Bitch, you remember I'm still in the Gotti. Boy, I woke up to a kush blunt, about 100 mil on my mind. If you ain't known to this same shit, then get the fuck off of my line, huh? Ain't no need to waste my time. Shots fired.
You know how it feels good. Pussy niggas want me, come and get. I'm thinking paper soon as I wake up. I put that shit on everything I love. Yeah, I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power.
In 4-5 ways, the 4-5 sprays. They trying to hear it's supposed to clear 4-5 days. You'll be X like the 4-5 train. Money, power, respect comes with 4-5 names. Khaled Trapper content. Bank Sinatra. Ace Rothstein. Movado, my favorite roster. What's the next scheme? Discuss over plate of pasta. Hate that came with choppers. Stare in the face of mobsters. So what now? Niggas quiet when that gun loud. I'm on the dark side with that sun down. Get run down for about one dab. She's a young child. I done slung vows with that drug crowd. Who's street smart but get dumb wild? Don't give a fuck where you from.
Pussy niggas want me, come and get.
much death already. 20 G's just to smoke what I want, nigga. Play the background, I ain't got a front, nigga. Distribution. In the streets, they call me E1. Ship a pickup. Place your order if you need one. Well connected, well respected, well protected. Team of shooters that ain't never had a shot rejected. Big mind. Me don't care what they say they gon' do. Money team. They should put my songs on pay-per-view. Mayweather. Rap version. Hope I'm undefeated. Autopilot. I could do this shit while I be sleeping.
Niggas want me come and get. I'm thinking paper soon as I wake up. I put that seed on everything I have. Love, yeah. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power. I want the money and the power.
What the fuck you about? It's about that money, boy.
Yeah, so we back here. The money and that power. It seems like that's a thing that's driving us crazy. We associate money with power when in all actuality, this money is not even real. Money is in fact fake, and not worth anything. What's worth something is the land and the riches that we had before this white man sold us his books for our property. So I just want to wrap up C. Dolores Tucker. Again, C. Dolores Tucker now, she is attacking the Time Warner Music Group. She ended up, Time Warner Music Group, the company distributed Interscope, whose rap subsidiary was Death Row Record. We know the story of Death Row, Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg, and whatnot. Put out the recordings of some of the most popular gangster artists. Tucker purchased stock in Time Warner. That's Black Power. Just to go back on yesterday's topic, that's Black Power. Black Power is not C. Dolores Tucker saying, I'm going to complain about Yeah, sorry for the dead air. I had a drop. Things like this happens, especially to me, apparently. So, where I was leaving off at, basically I was just wrapping up the C. Dolores Tucker story, and I was just mentioning how Black Power works, and how Black Power works is C. Dolores Tucker doesn't complain about what's going on in the music. What she did was she ended up purchasing stock in Time Warner, and which allowed her the privilege of attending shareholders' meeting, something that we act like we don't know about, and speaking out. At the May 1995 shareholders' meeting, she stood and asked the executives to read out loud the very lyrics through which their company reaped such profits, and they refused. This is a Black woman going toe-to-toe, head-to-head with the white man. That's why the Black woman is God. Because a strong Black woman will fight that fight. A strong Black man will fight that fight. What's going on now? We want the Black man to be God and want to keep the Black woman as nothing. When we need the Black man to step up and be God, we need that Black woman to step up and be God. And together, we fight that fight. So when that Black man, let me tell you something. When Mandela and the ANC was going up against apartheid and things of this nature with that with the racist white supremacists out there, them white boys ain't give a fuck about what Mandela and the ANC had to say. Do your history. They didn't care about that. Only reason why Mandela was able to get out of jail was because of Winnie Mandela. And they don't bring up Winnie Mandela. They don't mention Winnie Mandela. Winnie Mandela put fear in them white people's heart in South Africa. Fear. Winnie Mandela is who the white man was afraid of. That black woman. The white supremacist apartheid regime during that time told the ANC and told Mandela them, we would speak with y'all if y'all denounced Winnie Mandela. And them cowards did. When they should not have. They should have realized, okay, you're not intimidated with the black man. You'll go to war with the black man, but you're scared of that black woman though, huh? Well, guess what? Now you got to do it with the black man and the black woman. Now, why were they scared of Winnie? Because Winnie was burning up the informants. Winnie was burning the damn informants. It wasn't snitches getting stitches in South Africa. It was snitches got that, what they call it, that necktie. If you put that tie around your neck and lit your ass on fire, that fear. And the white man couldn't infiltrate that black community no more. Because the people there was too scared. They said, yo, if I'm caught talking to you, if a rumor come out that I'm working with you, she will burn me in the middle of the square. The white people got scared. And they told the black man to denounce the black woman. So now in this case, this black woman, she's going to war with the white man. Told him, yo, you read the lyrics that you want my children to listen to. You read them lyrics, and they refuse. How long will Time Warner continue to put profit before principle? She asked in the meeting, how long will it continue to turn its back on the thousands of young people who are dying spiritually and physically due to the violence perpetuated in your recordings? Because, see, when I grab my gun and I run out in the street and I bang on another brother, that's my physical demise. But when I sit in the streets and I listen to this music and then I start to call my black woman a bitch and a hoe, or this black woman end up calling me a dirty nigga, or I'm no good, or niggas ain't shit and I don't need a man, that's when you died spiritually. So this is not a game. So I already showed you how the CIA convinced the black woman to write a book attacking the black man and how that led on. Then I'm showing you right now how this black woman is attacking the white people. But, yo, it was black men that was attacking her. Okay, watch this. I told him about the black males, 25% are either in jail or under some judicial regulation, Meek Mills. Mr. Levin, another Jew, Steinman, Levin, Jimmy Iovine, right? Leo Cohen, right? Mr. Levin, or Levine, How are we going? Oh, Harvey, Levin, TMZ, who every time you watch TMZ, they're always cracking jokes on black people or making their money off of making us their mockery. Pay attention, yo. Mr. Levin, how are we going to raise a race of people with no men? This is a black woman fighting for the black men. How are we going to raise a race of people with no men? This is designed that way. Okay? It turns around and says, Tucker has also noted that she has served a surrogate parent to many nieces and nephews, not all of whom went down the right path, and over the years came to realize that cultural forces and images play a large role in shaping self-esteem. Not long ago, after the incident, Time Warner sold its interest into Interscope. That's black power. That's what black power is. Black power is not saying the white man is making me. No, black power is saying Gerald M. Levine, who was then the head of Time Warner, I'm going to buy stocks so I can now come straight to you and say, I'm going to hold you responsible for this since you're funding the demise of my people. Not too long after this black woman did this, Time Warner sold interest out of Interscope. They didn't want nothing else to do with that. You cannot continuously say that we do not have power. You cannot do that. That's how black power works. Black power, this 160-year-old black woman made Time Warner, a multi-billion, million-dollar company, sell its interest in a profitable Interscope Records. We have power. We have to stop being victims. Now, Tucker considered it a victory, but Death Row's Suge Knight hired investigators and then filed suit against Tucker on behalf of his roster of artists. She was accused of conspiracy and extortion as a result of a meeting with Knight at which two recording artists who were also national political caucuses of black women's members, Melba Moore and Dionne Warwick, and I remember this time when I was a kid, and ironically, Dionne Warwick's son raps because I believe she used him to do some We Are the World thing, whatever, were also present. Supposedly, the woman offered Knight a deal to leave Interscope and sign with a black-owned record company they planned, but Tucker retorted that they had simply asked him to try for more positive messages in the artist's music. He said he would need distribution to engineer such a situation, and Moore and Knight agreed then to look into financing for such a possible black-owned enterprise. So this is black woman. I already showed you the Gloria Steinem situation where she used a black woman to destroy and attack the black man. Now I'm showing you a black woman who is fighting for the interest, and we know she's fighting for the interest because we live into the reality right now of us not listening. Let me say that a little slower. We know and we understand that what she was doing was in the interest of black people because we're living in the reality of us not listening to her. This black man, Suge Knight, we know where Suge Knight is. We know Suge Knight's story now. We know why Tupac had to turn around and diss her. That was a battery in his back. So it was a black man now that did put the nail in the coffin of this sister. It wasn't the white man. White man ain't got no power. That white woman ain't got no power over no black man. That white man ain't got no power over no black woman. Our children is protected when the black man and the black woman are together in one. That's when our children are protected. Our children are not protected when the black man is going to war with the black woman. Just like the African fables say, when two elephants are fighting in the grass or fighting in the field, only the grass suffer. Only the grass suffer. In this case, the grass, that's our children. And when the black man and the black woman is fighting against each other, and we're now watching our children, then we have sick individuals in the street that becomes their new parents. And when you have sick people in the streets teaching the babies, what happened is you end up having 15-year-olds like Denzel Burke out of Chicago, right? He's received an order from an older conservative vice lord to shoot a rival they spotted on a sidewalk in Rogers Park. He and this teen pal dutifully got out the car they were traveling in and chased their prey, P-R-E-Y. Cook County prosecutors alleged Friday. So this is the prosecutor's account. But what we do know is what? This is a 15-year-old boy. That's a child. He got the orders from an older vice lord. So what do that tell you? That this is a young vice lord who's listening to an older vice lord. This is a fucking fool that got your 15-year-old boy out here in the streets trying to raise him up. He ain't raising that boy up. He ain't raising that boy. He gonna put him through that sex camp, the same sex camp he came out of. These guys out here in the street, they pray with an E. And these boys out here thinking they gangster, they spell gangster with a Y. G-A-Y-S-T-E-R. You niggas is gay. So the 15-year-old boy jumps out the car, and they said that the older vice lord dude told Denzel Burke, wet that T-shirt up. We know about that, especially if y'all from Brooklyn or the West Indies. Y'all know about the shower posse. Wet him up, encouraging him to wound the 19-year-old target before handing Burke a loaded gun on the afternoon of July 12th. This is a 15-year-old gunning a 19-year-old. Passerbys also heard Burke's friend, Michael Phillips, 17, further emboldened Burke, who's the youngest out of all of these guys, as the troops chased down the teen in the 1300 block of West Devon Ave. Get his ass, the 17-year-old Michael Phelps allegedly said to Burke after firing 10 times, missing the rival, but striking a photographer named Will Lewis in the back as he stood at a nearby bus stop waiting on the damn bus. This photographer, a black photographer in our community, gets gunned down because we are lost. So we have a 15-year-old gunning down a 19-year-old. A 19-year-old now is running for his life from two black men that look like him. One 15, who is young and impressionable. One 17, who's his quote-unquote friend. Because an old nigga named, from the conservative vice lords, named Eric Vaughn, told these young boys, he didn't tell these young boys, yo, black man, read these books, The Message to the Black Man, Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad, The ISIS Paper by Francis Cress Wilson. No. Up from Slavery by Booker T. Watt. No. Read this book on how to code for dummies, how to invest in stocks for dummies, how to be an entrepreneur for dummies. No. He told them to wet that nigga up. So these are children killing children. Okay? In the process, a brother who snapped pictures is the one, you know what I'm saying, of the damn shit. He gets killed. He's shot up and shit. So at the end of the situation, the brother was a staff photographer of an online men's clothing store. He died from his wounds less than an hour later in a nearby hospital. So rest in power to that brother, Will Lewis. A witness of the shooting, right, as did another person, took pictures of Burke, the 15-year-old, and Phillips, the 17-year-old, as they made their escape. So so they end up bouncing to Wisconsin, but end up getting extradited back and things of this nature. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't even get it, man. The judge said that the 15-year-old Burke is dangerous and also ordered him held without bond. Held without bond on murder and attempted murder charges. Phillips was ordered held for $1.5 million. You see? Burke was arrested, that's the 15-year-old, as a juvenile this year for a robbery. He was arrested as a juvenile. He was arrested for a robbery and domestic battery involving his mother. Okay? Peep this. That's a sick scenario right there. That's why the title is Black Man versus Black Woman, which I displayed that. Black man versus child, black child versus child, black woman versus child. We're all fighting each other. We're all at war. This is sickness. This is madness. So we have to get past all of that. We got to get through that, because this is all by design. This is what they want. You got a brother now. No charges for man held in Rikers Island for 2 years for a crime he didn't commit. 2 years. 2 years. In Rikers Island. Crazy ass Rikers, if anybody know about it. For a crime you ain't even commit. You see what I'm saying? So this dude was in jail for 2 years. And listen, when you're in jail for 2 years for a crime you didn't commit, you're not in a special section for people who may or may not have. No. You're in there with the rest of the Looney Tunes. So a Bronx DA will drop all charges against a man held at Rikers Island for 2 years. He done did his bid. for a fatal stabbing he had insisted he didn't commit. Prosecutors do not have the evidence to convict Inger Javier, something like that, Javier. He's 25, in the murder of Hansel Arias. This is pretty much a black Spanish dude, especially if you know this is the Bronx. So this is a black Spanish dude, and these are white Spanish people. So this black Spanish dude pretty much get arrested for a crime he didn't commit. So, you know, I guess you got to think God and whoever you believe in that the prosecutor is out for justice and not just out for a conviction, because he could have just left it alone and left him there. They said Javier was held at Rikers Island for 2 years after the killing, but the courts released him with an ankle bracelet in 2014 only after a test proven that it was not his DNA found under the victim's fingernails, meaning this is a fight. It's like going through hell, he said, of his time in jail. When you're innocent, you got to think every day, why? And you know you haven't done nothing. You go crazy thinking about it every day and every night. So that means he was going crazy about it for 2 years. That's 2 years of him listening to men them get raped. That's 2 years of him listening to people fighting. 2 years of him having to deal with the prison politics with a bunch of sickos and lunatics. 2 years of him having to deal with the sick-ass CEOs in there. No, I'm innocent. It's one thing if I did something to put me in here. Nah, I'm innocent. Yeah. So that's how that shit goes. And it's just crazy because these are the things that, you know what I'm saying, that's going on. So it's like I said, the shit is just crazy, man, at the end of the day. And yeah, we gotta do something about it, man, because at the end of the day, you know, we getting locked up. The youth getting locked up because they know they're the change. So they're gonna lock them up to keep them messed up, especially throwing them through that prison system. So we have to do that. Now let's get into the solutions, because we have about 14 minutes left into the show, and I like solutions. I'm into solutions. I'm into, now that we know the doom and gloom, now that we know what our problems are and how we got into the situation we're in and things of this nature, now I'm into what can we do? You know, what do we do next? And what I say, first of all, before you love anybody, you got to love yourself. I know that sounds simple, but you'll be amazed how many people don't love themselves. So if you're a black woman and you don't love yourself, how do you plan on loving a man? How do you plan on loving your child? So these are the things that we have to deal with, because any attack on us as a race and as a people, whether it's an attack on our woman, attack on our man, attack on our children, it's an attack on all of us. If police is practicing injustices against black people on the West Coast, we're supposed to scream even louder on the East Coast and down south in the Midwest, in the West Indies, in Europe, in Africa, in Latin America. We all supposed to stand up and speak out against that. Because if we allow a brother on the West Coast, people on the West Coast, to be attacked, then that just gives the okay to attack us on the East Coast. And if we allow black people to be taken advantage of in the islands, then that means we're allowing people to take advantage of us in the continent. We're not different people. Another narrative, we're not tribal people. We're not tribal people. We're not in no tribal war. We didn't have tribal wars. We didn't have all these different languages. All of that is something concocted by white people. To prove that, this is how you prove that. Southerners do not understand Northerners, and vice versa. Because I traveled back and forth from New York to Georgia, when I first moved to Georgia, I couldn't understand what Southerners said. I used to tell them straight up, listen, you have to repeat that. I'm not from here. You see? I know Southerners that went up to New York, and they like, yo, I can't understand New Yorkers. I met West Indian, I met guys from the West Coast. I couldn't understand them. Like, you can understand the words, but I'm like, but a lot of the cadence, a lot of the laid backness, and it's like, I'm looking like, yo, it seems like you're rocking by me to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is all of that about? We're not different people. This is all in one state. One country. We're not different people. We have different dialects, different slang. We're not tribes. We're not tribal people. All of that is what white people say. We have to get away from these narratives. We're one people. A black man, wherever you spin the globe and point your finger, have more in common with you in America than you have in common with any other race of people, wherever you go. We want to be global before we tighten up our race. And that doesn't make sense to me. The solution is you have to love yourself. Black man, you have to love yourself. Black woman. I can't even mention the children because the children are a reflection of us. If you want to see our children move in a better way, we have to move in a better way. The reason why these boys out here committing crime is because there's 30 and 40-year-olds on the fucking radio making rap songs about committing crime. These are not kids. These are grown-ass adults doing this, just like that grown-ass adult in Chicago told the 15-year-old boy and the 17-year-old boy to go out there to gun down a 19-year-old boy. And in the rap music is the same way. These are grown-ass men. And they're not grown-ass men still in that life. These are grown-ass men that's not in that life. These are grown-ass men that is supposed to be telling the youth, yo, I used to do it like that, but now my outlook is different, yo. When I was a kid, I used to screw a whole bunch of girls. I used to have them in and out the crib all day, you know what I'm saying, in my youth. But now that I got older, I realized, you know what? Oh, that wasn't worth it. It wasn't even worth it. Nah, We want to brag and we want to deal with the narratives. We have to protect our youth. We have to raise our youth up. What's going on in the streets with crime and with black boys out here committing crimes and black girls out here with doing the crazy shit. Half of these chicks out here, they clicking up like they dudes. Now they dropping shit in guys' drinks, running up in they goddamn hotel, snatching they shit. I remember when I was a teenager, the most scariest thing for me is for a random girl to smile and blink her eyes and tell me, come here. I'm like, what the fuck is she pointing? Yo, get your guns, yo. Because I don't know who she is. Yo, what's up, shorty? Oh, I think you cute. Yeah, hi. Nah, I don't know nothing. Leave me alone. Straight up. Who you working for? How you come out of nowhere and you see me and you smiling in my face talking to me all sweet? Who you work for? You see what I'm saying? These girls out here are harder than the dudes. They'll have you tied up. These chicks don't care. The chicks don't care because their mamas don't care. The sons don't care because their fathers wasn't there. They're a reflection of us and not being capable of doing, you know what, we ain't responsible, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. And as an adult, if we don't lay the correct foundation on the ground for that next generation will not be what we think they should be. And what happened is we get older, and then the youth we complained about get older. And then when they get older, they end up complaining about the youth underneath them. Why do they complain about the youth underneath? Because that's what the old heads did when they was young. So we're following the same pattern. The old heads want to complain about the youth. Then the youth get older and complain about the youth. And then those youth get older and complain about the youth, and nobody realizes complaining don't change shit. When you, black woman, learn to love yourself, which a lot of y'all are coming into that realization, it's going to be easier for you to love these men. Because the quality of men right now are way better than the men of the 90s, during the Dolores Tucker era, who did not know better. A lot of these men have hang-ups about them because they didn't have a father growing up. And when you don't have a father growing up, you have a chip on your shoulder where you say, I have to be a great father. You got some men that gets nervous and scared because they didn't have a father. But like I said, why is a man afraid? That's not a man trait. That's not a male trait. That's not a original black man trait. What are you afraid of? Stand on your feet, yo. Stand up. Stand strong. Don't be a coward. Black woman, love yourself. Love yourself. Stop running around talking about you want a boy first. Oh, I hope I have a son first. You're not capable. You're not qualified for a son. Straight up. How do you want a son while saying you can't raise a son? That means essentially you're saying, I want to fuck up another generation of men. How dare you do something like that? Learn to love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you will never say something as ignorant as you can't raise this boy up into manhood. Yes, you can. You can't teach a boy to be a man, but that's not your job. Your job was never to teach a boy to be a man. Your job is to raise him up to be a man. Because he's going to be a man regardless, just like a caterpillar is going to be a butterfly. It's your job to create atmosphere. And when you create the atmosphere, then he will become that man. Then you can be proud of him. It's not your responsibility to raise a boy to be a man. So get that out your head. Black man, it's not your responsibility to be afraid. It's not your role to be afraid. It's not your position to be scared. Your role in your position is to protect, to stand up, and to teach. That woman's job is to protect, to stand up, and to teach. That's your role. Her role is not to dominate you. Your role is not to dominate her. We have to stop that. The black man is God. We know that. We knew that already. We grew up under that tutelage. Now it's time for the black woman to be God. The black woman being God does not mean she's above you, black man. The black woman being God means she's finally rising up to your level. So if being a black man puts you on level 10, that's what makes the black woman God, and brings her to level 10. Now we're on the same level, even playing field, and we understand what it is that we got to do, and understand how we're going to push on this black role as black people to do what we got to do. So, till next time, people in Black America, see you again Friday. We're going to tackle on a topic called, I affectionately call Tukun or Tagoon. So, see you next time, people, and we'll get this thing popping, all right? Peace.
And you talking about shit that's beneath me?